it's very exciting to be able to introduce Sam Marwood, who is our guest speaker here today. So I'll let Sam explain who he is and who the business is that he's started up, and then we'll crack into a whole lot of questions.
So thank you very much. So thanks Renata, and thanks Gang for inviting me. My name is Sam Marwood. I've started an organisation called Cultivate Farms, which hopefully everybody's Googled already and seen me on Facebook, my big head on videos, etc. But the whole idea of what we're doing is trying to make it possible for young people to own and operate their own farm. And it feels like there's this inbuilt desire in hundreds, if not thousands of people across Australia and probably across the world to want to do what you guys do, which is farming. But there's this big barrier in front of them, which is $1 million or $2 million or $3 or $5 million to buy a farm. And so there's so many squash dreams out there of young people who just want to be farmers but are off doing other careers. We want to start stealing people from all over Australia who are lawyers, builders, accountants, nurses, and start saying, hey, you can be a farmer, and we want you to start thinking about it, start training, start working as a farm hand, build up your skills, because in 5 years' time you might have the skills and there might be an opportunity where you can be matched onto a farm. So I can explain how it all works, but today I just want to, there's nothing magical about what we're doing. Really, it's about having conversations and getting people who have farms with people who want to buy farms and people who want to run farms and getting them to talk. Almost like a dating website is what we've got, and we've thought about calling it eFarmony, but it's probably a bit corny. So we're hoping this is just really practical for you guys. We don't mind if you don't use us. It's all about getting young people onto the land. So if this just creates more conversations in your community with you and there's some aspiring farmers, fantastic. That's exactly what we want. So hopefully it's practical. The idea that you go, one day I'm going to sell, you put a sign out the front, you get some drone footage, and then you sit there hoping that somebody drives past or somebody Googles and they happen to have enough money and enough up and go to buy your farm. And you think, that's a bit outdated. It's almost like the old days of trying to pick up at a pub. You go there and hopefully randomly find the love of your life at that one point. Whereas now the dating websites are all the norm, that you spend months and months and months building up your profile and finding the right person and building relationships online, and then eventually you meet and you sort out your relationship. And that's sort of where we want to go with this future. We think this could be the future of how farms are transitioned, that 10 years in advance when you're thinking of stepping back from your farm, and you start building up relationships with aspiring farmers and even with investors. So the whole idea of this is about matching aspiring farmers, investors, and retiring farmers. But you should be able to build up that relationship over time, so that in 10 years' time, 5 years' time, I've got my exit plan. I know I'm going to get good money from my farm. I don't have to sell the whole thing and walk away. I can sell half of it and I retain equity and I get ongoing income. I'm supporting a new family coming in. To me, that sounds so much better than just the sign out the front and everyone in the district knowing you're selling, but you can't sell it.
And Sam, what we've been talking to these guys in the lead up to today is definitely around, at the moment, the only way to sell a farm is to sell the dirt, and then you have a clearing sale and then you move away. The opportunity to sell it as a business is where we think the
absolutely,
potential is.
Exactly. And investors, and I'm talking about investors because I've actually met some. They're real people.
Have they got any money though?
They have. There's plenty of money. There's plenty of money out there.
Where do the investors fit in though?
They would be. It depends. It all depends on what the parties want.
Situation.
Yeah, but an example would be an equity partnership. So you set up a company. The retiring farmer might retain 50% equity. Then this new farmer might have enough for 10%, and the rest is the investor owns 40%. And they could potentially be a silent partner, just making sure you're doing things the way you should be and trying to make a profit, and you've got advisors, etc. Or it could be any combination. It could be a bit of vendor finance thrown in there, etc. But I guess what we're doing is just opening up the options to, instead of just being a one-to-one retiring farmer and a new farmer, whoever, let's add an investor in here as well and see if that helps, and a bank. So there's these 4 players, I guess, that you can mix and match whichever way you want to get the best outcome.
Because we all have, or majority of us have investors in our farm.
Yeah.
They're just called the ANZ,
exactly.
or they're called the Commonwealth. We've all got, or it's New Holland Finance,
yep.
Or it's, so we've all got, because we've all got a bit of debt. So we've all got an investor of some description. This is actually about trying to fit, or the way I see it, is trying to fit another investor into the business.
Yep.
So
exactly. It's just another option, and it does feel a bit irky, this idea of an investor coming in, and I think that's what we're just trying to normalise this discussion more. That it's just another way to get finance, to give you cash to leave or give you cash to expand or whatever it is you need to do on your farm, whatever to match your farming dreams.
I think one of the biggest things too is for people is investors. It's a scary word.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
And once people get over that fear,
I think we need a few examples. Yep. Get a few examples, and I think people will be less cautious. And I think also because we're young, it might be another thing that we've only just started. So this all these things are probably against us as we start. But I think once we get things going, and you see some great farms set up and really great relationships and win-wins for everybody, we're really hopeful for the future for this being the preferred way of transitioning.
No, it sounds
With
great.
the, you use the word investors. New Zealand has equity partnerships, and they're very common. Would it be better off changing the finance to an equity
That
partnership?
doesn't matter what you want to call it, John.
No, it could be.
Call
Yeah,
it
that could be a
whatever
better
you
way of
want.
doing it. Yep. And we'd love to steal whatever language works, I think is the key thing. And in a way, we could, what we're doing is could value add to what they're doing in New Zealand, because they don't have any of these online platforms to match.
No,
it's just all, again, conversations, word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
But we're not doing anything special. It's vendor finance, equity arrangements. It's just that word investor, I think, is the thing that's...
But it's also willingness to share too, though.
Yeah,
Sam.
that's true.
With most investors,
Yep.
the key for them is to own as much or the whole thing, as much of the whole thing as they can, and then retain as much of any given profits as, because that's their business.
Potentially.
And that's so the real challenge in any given staged process or whatever you want to call it is the willingness to share.
Yeah.
And
that's it.
That's what I see as
Yep.
the battle.
And when you're dealing with farms that have had 3, 4, 5 generations of farmers on it as well, so the idea that someone's coming into that arrangement is a bit funny as well. But on the point of investors, we're finding more and more that they love the idea of, we come to them with a retiring farmer, a young farmer, we say, here's a farm, and they go, wow, I could be 40% equity owner in this business that already has the expertise, they've got the go-getters, they've already worked all this out, all I got to do is press some numbers on my keyboard and I'm an equity owner of this great business. So for them, I think it's a great opportunity.
I think the other upside to it too is if you're employing staff, and we all know that staff come and go, you might get long-term staff, but for the young ones who are staff, and if they know that they're, so it's about retention of people who have the knowledge and the knowledge of your farm as well.
Absolutely.
And they've got the working relationship already.
I agree.
And then they say, right, this is another carrot for them to stay as well.
You've just got to be willing to share your profits.
What profits?
Well,
That's the other
it's
thing.
one of the challenges with farming is that no one's ever got any money.
Yeah.
But that's because you plough it all back into the farm.
That's right.
So
That's
it's about picking a point in time and going, okay, the business is worth X dollars. Pick a number, doesn't matter what it is. But over 12 months, it grows or it doesn't grow or it decreases in value by X, Y, and Z. So, and what happens is, especially in farming, is that over time it grows organically. So you've just got to be willing to share the organic growth. There'll be no dollars.
No.
There's never any dollars because we're too busy paying off tractors and mixers and whatever the hell we're doing. So, but you've got to be willing to share the asset, and that's what this is all about. This is actually about sharing assets.
Yes.
You share it with an investor. You share it with with a retiring age farmer, and then you share it between he who's willing to come and take it on board.
Yeah.
The only way it's ever going to work is if you're willing to share
Yeah. That's
the net increase
That's
in the
right.
value of the business.
Yeah.
And
That's-
knowledge.
Yeah.
And the knowledge,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And this idea, coming back to your talking about attracting or keeping good workers, there is this ingrained thing in farming. It doesn't happen for accounting or law firms or whatever, that you have to own the farm. So are we attracting the best people who are farm? There's some people who are happy to work as farm managers, and that's great.
Yeah.
But I think a bigger portion are like, why would I work on a farm that I don't own?
Yes.
So if you can say to them, you work for me for 3 years, let's see how this goes. And at the end of that 3 years, there's a really good chance that you're going to be equity owner of this property, and you can start increasing your equity. And I think that would be the trigger that starts attracting all the best people across Australia to become farmers, because they know there's this pathway. And that's the sort of language we're talking about is, can we set up pathway programs with corporate farms like Warrakiri or Kiltu or whoever, and say, if you would offer a job for 3 years as part of a pathway program, and you know they're going to leave in 3 years, because that'll get their skills up, and then we'll put them onto a farm that they can be equity owner of. And they love it, because they struggle to get farm hands, because you get a farm hand, they're like, what am I doing this for? I'll work for a little bit, but why am I slugging my guts out?
Because even for infrastructure work, at even our age, you think, oh, you know, there's not going to be a return on that. In our time, we have left on the farm. So, for example, say a feed pad or a roof over your feed.
Yeah, that's
feed
good.
pad. So you think, well, it's not worth spending that 100,000 on that.
Yep.
Or,
Yeah.
700,000 on
Million.
that. Million on
You
that.
can just call it a million,
Yeah.
right? It's going to be $1 million.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not worth it, because we're not going to get to see a return for it.
That's it.
So though, if you're matched someone and the investors with this young person who's coming in to, and then you can still retain X amount of equity yourself in it, which is going
And
to
get
It's an
out.
incentive. Yeah.
yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You only
absolutely.
own 25% of this business, but you've still got it, and it's growing, and it's returning. You're a whole lot better off owning 25% of something for the next 40 years than owning, you only own half anyway, because the bank man owns the other half. So you're better off having 25% of something that can just go on, as opposed to, that is increasing in net worth, as opposed to owning 50% of something that's doing nothing.
That's right.
So you might as well own
Yeah.
25% of something.
And I guess the other thing is, so like when you say in partners with banks, so the young ones coming in have to really have their stake in it from somewhere. So I mean, if they've got no ownership to start with, how does that?
We want it from the start. So we'd be encouraging people, these aspiring farmers, to build up some capital. So either start leasing land and getting some cattle, savings from their job, whatever they can, to bring some, to show that they're not just going to run away when things get tough. So we want to make sure they've got some equity to start with, and then give them that. It depends on all the different arrangements, but it'll be how do you build up that equity over time. So whether it's incentives for when things go well, or whether there's 100 acres next door that they might buy that and add it to the conglomerate as well. So that's a good point.
Okay.
But this is great. This is exactly the sort of discussions we need to have, because it's understanding what we feel like there's a great outcome here, but getting there is the tricky thing, and getting people just to think about it is the hardest thing. But and for us, so we have investors, and that's building. We know there are people out there who want to buy farms, and they need good farmers. We've got around 200 young people from all over Australia who are registered, and that's going to increase even more. The hardest thing for us is finding farms. It's having the discussion about a bit of dirt to figure out.
I think I know 75. I know 75.
I think I've been through
Anyone want
it.
to sell their farm? Or part of it? I'll sell half of it.
Yeah, I would.
I'll sell half.
I'll look into it. Never say no.
Sell half. Willing to share? Willing to share half of the profits of no dollars? Because half of nothing's not much.
No, you got to make some money.
And it's interesting, and we had that discussion, Sam, is the key to these business, or to these arrangements, is actually profitable businesses.
So I missed the first part of this here, but we're going to say we someone coming into our place, they come in, they invest, say you've got a business worth X amount, say we'll figure out there it's worth 4 million with every stock and barrel. They put a percentage in, and then do they then go on land titles and stuff like that, like are they partnering that way, or is it just of livestock and all the rest of it, or how do you?
Yeah, it's a good question. It could be, again, anything, and I hate coming, but maybe a good one would be the operations is one entity and the land is another, and then every party gets to decide how much they want to invest into either, depending on their level of risk or what they're interested in. The ideal would be that everyone would own a portion of both, and I guess the company would be on the title that gets established, so everyone becomes a shareholder, and then, so even though the young person or the aspiring farmer owns the farm with you, they're also employed, which we get a lot of aspiring farmers going, what, I'm employed on my own farm. So but that's just the technical stuff. The main thing is we want people to feel like they own it, which they do, but we just want to make sure you got that same control or yeah, you own the dirt sort of feeling.
Because it's an interesting one. Are you better off? It's just from a young person trying to get in perspective. Are you better off getting paid 140 grand a year, which is what everyone thinks they need to? And if you're going to actually put enough dollars away to go and buy cows or something, you probably actually have to get paid that much. Or you're better off getting 40 grand a year to live and inheriting 50 cows a year.
Yeah, we want to start. We want all those graphs. We want to start promoting this to Australians. That here's the graph of you having an average wage as a lawyer in Sydney.
Yeah.
And here's you.
Here's me. I've got to get up and milk cows.
Yeah.
You know, every morning. But I'm actually earning significantly more than the geezer in Sydney that's on $250,000 a year.
And you got a great lifestyle.
And I drive a 200 Series Land Cruiser that's paid for by my business.
I think communication is probably the number one issue.
Oh, yeah.
So how do you ensure that that's fostered and a really good relationship? Because I think even if you have great friends, you're going to have fights at some stage. So we're thinking that every farm we support will have to have advisors in there, and one of them probably has to be someone around supporting communication or and education and training, and just to be able to ensure that when there are issues, you can work through them. But that's a really good point. I just as you're talking, I will thinking back to it. I would have loved if someone had filmed my dad work for a whole week, and I could watch back and see how he did everything. Like that's the way we could do it in the future. Like you don't have to sit there and write the documents. Here I am. Here's how you attend the PDO and done. Yeah, like, there could be some really great ways.
And you have all the
Don't laugh.
This is how I cut my finger off. But maybe there's just maybe we need to have a way to be able to get that knowledge out of people and encourage it out of them.
And I guess what we need probably is models, so we can look at the different models.
Yeah, that's what it's.
So like I mean, say a young person came in and said, "Look, I've got 10 cows," and then you know, how are they going to get a return on those 10 cows? It's also about that for them as well. So whether you look at commercial leasing rates, but at the same time, then the farm side of things are actually looking after those cows and etc. Who owns the offspring? Does that automatically then go to that farmer and then to that young person, and then that calf comes into the herd later on? Is that when it becomes a commercial rate for them? So there's a lot of different models.
I think it's about turning them into businesses, though.
Yeah.
I really do. I think it's instead of them being an animal, they're part of a business, and someone comes and inherits over time a share of the business that owns the cows and owns the operations, owns the tractors. And you come in, I've got 10 cows. Well, that's 10 out of 200, plus the tractors, plus this, and it's just you just have an agreed value on everything, and away you go.
10 years or something, they're going to move on and they've got their group of cows to take away rather than owning a share in it, and then us as an owner, it's taken 3 generations, 4 generations to get there. You've got to go and buy them out, type of thing.
Well, just go and replace the cows.
Yeah, if it's cows, it's one thing, but if it's the business, then they own part of.
Yep, absolutely.
So does that harder? Whereas if you kept it as just cows, you just draft off.
But it is a good point. Like if the farmer has that equity with them and they want to leave, that's a risk you've got to be able to manage as well. But that's
That's why I like the cows. Like, I know which ones are mine. So when
she gets bred at the right time on the right day.
So everyone knows it's bred in these countries?
they are.
Or just
That was supposed to be the plan, but
just keep up on
Plans change.
when you got something stubborn pushing out the boundary, it's hard. But I probably push my cattle a bit harder too. So if I've got a problem cow, generally I'll push her out the door a bit quicker than he will. So, but just things like that, But like I said, it's a big driver for me to make sure everything's getting done properly because I want my cows to
you got stakes.
succeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when the business makes more dollars, or you make more dollars, so do they. So it's called a willingness to share.
Yeah.
That's part of
Not
that
just in
sharing.
the knowledge on the farm, it's also
It's operations.
Yeah.
Yeah.